What is poppin', YouTube? Today we're going to be talking about waiver wire additions for week 8 fantasy football as we continue on in the season, as you continue to stack on those wins, as we head on to the playoffs, as well as do just a recap. Let's talk about some players that absolutely helped you win week 7 fantasy football. So starting off, some amazing quarterback play from Lamar Jackson. We've been waiting for this absolutely electric fantasy football game. 41 fantasy points depending on your league format that you played in is kind of where he was around. Absolutely amazing against the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions didn't even stand a chance. Shout out to Lamar Jackson. Second, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. If somehow you got the stack where you drafted Travis Kelce in the first and then you really reached for Patrick Mahomes in the second, this was the type of day that you were hoping to have with those two guys, where Patrick Mahomes gets around 40 fantasy points, Travis Kelce gets 35 in your tight end spot, 12 receptions, 179 yards, 1 total touchdowns. Now let's be clear, that was almost all in the first half. The second half, they kind of used him sparingly as they were up. So I love some Travis Kelce. That was absolutely amazing. I think the big winner of the day that helped you win was definitely Foreman. If any of you guys went out and picked up Foreman, I wasn't as high on him just because of, all the Roschon Johnson, Khalil Herbert being injured, especially without Justin Fields. But my man comes out 16 attempts, 89 yards, 2 total touchdowns, and had a receiving touchdown, 3 receptions for 31 yards. So over 110 yards and 3 total touchdowns for Foreman. Absolutely amazing performance here in week 7. Alvin kamara, also really good with 29 fantasy points. The thing with kamara, 17 rushing yards, 17 attempts for 62 yards. So his rushing attempts aren't good, but he continues to get around 9 to 12 receptions. He got 12 receptions for 91 yards. 12 receptions in the PPR format is absolutely like cheating. 12 fantasy points that Alvin kamara is getting like week in and week out, which is absolutely crazy. Jahmyr Gibbs had his breakout day. Shout out to Jahmyr Gibbs for coming in. David Montgomery, of course, was injured, but did get 11 for 68, 1 total touchdown, but got 9 receptions for 58 yards. That is the total package, 26 fantasy points that we've been talking about with Jahmyr Gibbs. We knew that if he were to come out, if he were to at least at some point get those type of touches, he could be electric. Amon-Ra St. Brown really wasn't having a good day until the second half when they really had to air the ball out as they were down. The Detroit Lions did, but he ended up with around 23 fantasy points. Josh Downs. We've been talking about Josh Downs as a stash every week for like the last 3 weeks. He's been a stash in our must-stash video. And 23 fantasy points is what he put up today. I was a little bit upset because I had a roster where I was between Jerry Jeudy and Josh Downs, and I was an idiot and I chose Jerry Jeudy, but shout out to Josh Downs, 23 fantasy points. Puka Nacua with 23 fantasy points. Puka Nacua showed today that he can still continue to be a wide receiver 1, a top end wide receiver 1 with Cooper Kupp in the fold. Mike Evans had a great day. Darren Waller had a great day. Shout out to all of us who have been continued to be throwing Darren Waller in our lineups with the hopes that he would have a day like he did today. 22 fantasy points. Mark Andrews, Travis Etienne, Jonathan Taylor. Shout out to Jonathan Taylor. I think now it's very clear Jonathan Taylor is just going to continue to get more and more of the work. Zach Moss is going to continue to take a backseat. So if you haven't sold Zach Moss yet, maybe try to do that right now. But Jonathan Taylor, really great day. So those are some recap of week 7 fantasy football. But like we said, you are here to discuss waivers. Like, let's talk about some waivers that you should be picking up. My first player you should be picking off waivers is going to be Josh Downs. We've been talking about him as a must stash each and every week. This week, recorded 5 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown against the Browns. He's had 13 plus fantasy points in 3 straight games and 4 of the last 5. So he's really become a large part of this Colts offense with or without Anthony Richardson. So it's been absolutely amazing. He's definitely the wide receiver 2 in this offense. Next week, the Colts place the Saints. So he's definitely going to be a PPR viable starter next week. Josh Downs is my first target for this week. My second target is going to be Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne's kind of been on your roster, off your roster, because he started off really hot this season and then kind of mid, but he's owned in 26% of leagues, and once again had a very nice stat line today, catching 6 passes for 63 yards and a touchdown in a very surprising win. Shout out to the Patriots for beating the Buffalo Bills. And this came 1 week after last week he recorded 10 catches for 89 yards. Kendrick Bourne continues to be a top option for the Patriots and their passing attack, and really makes him a viable flex option on a week-to-week basis. So I do like some Kendrick Bourne as my second player that if I, of course, can't get Josh Downs, Kendrick Bourne is definitely going to be there. My third guy, and this is really if you need a running back, is going to be Darrell Henderson. We talked about him in our Saturday video as a must-stash. We said Darrell Henderson is going to be a must-stash. He knows this offense. A lot of people were running to the waivers last week to get Zach Evans, but shout out to those of us that got Darrell Henderson, because I think Darrell Henderson is going to be the foreseeable starter until our man Kyron Williams comes back. And this is where we go. So like I said, Henderson dominated the touches over Royce Freeman and Zach Evans. The thing is, my man got off the couch and came in and performed in an NFL game. He looked pretty good, rushing 18 times for 61 yards and a touchdown, 13.6 fantasy points in the loss, of course, to Pittsburgh. So it's not great. It's not high-end RB1 type potential, but can Darrell Henderson be an RB2 for you week in and week out through this little bye season that we're about to come through, as Kyron Williams is going to be at least off the field for the next 3 games? Darrell Henderson is definitely someone that I am targeting in waiver wires. My fourth player that I'm targeting on the waiver wires is going to be Devin Singletary. Now, it was a bye week for the Houston Texans, but like we were saying in our stash video from a few days ago, Devin Singletary literally has been out snapping Dameon Pierce. As much as a lot of us, me included, really love Dameon Pierce coming into the season. Those hopes and dreams have been absolutely squashed because he's been increasing in usage each and every week. Like I said, it's almost a 60-40 split with him and Dameon Pierce. In week 6, he played 34 snaps and touched the ball a season high 13 times in week 6. So he's also been averaging 4.8 yards per touch, which is crazy because we thought he was just a jag, but 4.8 yards per touch is not bad for a running back. The 2.6 yards per touch, which Dameon Pierce has been putting on the field, which is not good. They're going up against Carolina Panthers and their awful run defense this next week. So Singletary is definitely an add, especially if you need some running back help. My next guy is going to be Tyjae Spears, and we've been kind of on Tyjae Spears on the waiver wire, and there's probably a pretty good chance that he is not available in your league. Kind of looking around league, he's around 45% average. So we like to give you guys that are around 50% average or less, just so that you guys have a good shot at getting them onto your team. But with Tyjae Spears the last few weeks has actually been out snapping Derrick Henry, which is absolutely insane because Derrick Henry, the man, the myth, the legend, the king. I am just a little bit concerned that they are going to actually trade Derrick Henry. And I think that's going to be a good thing for those of us that own Derrick Henry. So shout out to you because I think bigger and brighter days are ahead for Derrick Henry. But even if they don't trade away Derrick Henry, Tyjae Spears is still seeing a 50-50 split with Derrick Henry, which on some weeks is going to make him fantasy relevant. And especially with Derrick Henry getting up there in age, if for any reason they decide not to trade Derrick Henry and they just decide to shut him down, Tyjae Spears is going to continue to have fantasy football value. Like I said, he's been averaging 5.5 yards per carry, and he's just looked explosive. When he gets on the field, he looks more explosive than Derrick Henry just because of his quickness, because he's a rookie. So this is my thing. If I can go get Tyjae Spears, he is definitely someone that I am looking to add. Another player is going to be Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is coming off of the IR here soon. He's started practicing. So I think we're maybe a week to 2 weeks away from Kyler Murray actually suiting up as a starting quarterback for the Cardinals, which with this current quarterback landscape on the bye week schedule, Kyler Murray, he's going to come in and he's going to be active on your fantasy football roster. I'm not saying that he's going to go back to being a top 5 quarterback because I think his rushing upside is going to be a little bit limited with what we've seen the past few weeks, especially with him coming off in an ACL. But I think he can still definitely be top 10, and that's definitely worthy of an add on your waiver wires. Like I said, it hasn't yet been a year since he tore that ACL, but it has been a significant amount of time. So I would definitely go look to add some Kyler Murray. Tank Bigsby as well, someone that I'm worthy of stashing as a waiver wire target. He's no way ever going to find your way onto your roster unless something were to happen to Travis Etienne. But like I said, if something were to happen to Travis Etienne, even like an ankle sprain, something like that, Bigsby is the next man up, which could definitely provide some starting running back potential for you down the line. My next player is going to be Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas has looked truly explosive. He's kind of looked Antonio Brown like a weaker Antonio Brown type wide receiver for the Patriots. This is the thing. When you're seeing a rookie wide receiver get on the field in a Bill Belichick offense, that's all you need to know. I mean, they drafted N'Keal Harry in the first round, and my man never saw the field in his whole entire tenure for the Patriots. Now, is that N'Keal Harry's fault, or is that the way that the Patriots coached him? That's up to you. But Demario Douglas definitely has high-end upside as we can continue to go week in and week out. With as much as the Patriots look good and they won today, they are going to be playing behind a lot. And when you're playing behind, you're going to have to throw the ball. And like we said, we like Kendrick Bourne as a waiver wire stash. I also really like some Demario Douglas. So let me know who you're looking to target in your waiver wire this week. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. We're going to be putting out a ton more content this week. So if you are new to the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.